welcome back to the channel. First of all, obviously, Happy New Year to you all. I hope you've had a great Christmas and a New Year. Starting the first video off of this year with a review. Obviously, want to do a lot more reviews. Hopefully by the time this video goes out, I will have done my 2 new startups intros. I've got one for me general travel and shenanigans with the lads and stuff. And then I've got one that is specifically to do with reviews, gadgets, because hence the name, Gaddy Gadgets. So I need to do a bit more on the review front. And this is going to be quite an involved review. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible, but I'm going to attempt to build a Raspberry Pi computer. So what I have is a Raspberry Pi 5, 8GB. I've got a power supply, I think, in that box, all from Amazon. And I've also got a case. And the case is by Electro Cookie. And it's a Raspberry Pi 5 mini PC case and NVMe board. Because I just happen to have a 128GB M2 SSD card left over from when I upgraded my PC. I've also got 128GB memory card, micro SD to go in it. So we're going to try and put all this lot together, even with my shaky hands, because as I've got older, I do notice I shake a lot more. It's nothing to do with anything nefarious. It is just due to age at the end of the day. So if there's any shaking, please excuse me. So we're going to put all this lot together. I've got a HDMI adapter cable, and I've also brought a small wireless keyboard and mouse, which we're going to use. So I'm going to put it all together now. Then I'm going to go up to the gadget room. We're going to plug it in, put the software, and my plan is I'm going to be running Raspberry Pi OS, and then it's RetroPie OS, because I'm going to do a dual boot on it so that I can play retro games and have a go with Raspberry Pi. Right, we're now on the overhead camera, so let's see what we're best starting with first. Let's open the case up. And this has not been opened, everything has completely just come out of the big box for Amazon. So we've got a set of instructions, which is pretty reasonable. I like big pictures. Big pictures is easy. Well, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is the hat included model. I don't know what HAT or HAT stands for, I'll be honest with you, but I know it's the interface so that you can put your M2 card in it. And we've got the that's the hat. SSD. And in here is the case. Talk about flat packed. Darkened glass panel side, back, other sides are cutouts for the interfaces and whatever that one is. So let's start off. It says number 1, according to this, we've got to connect the fan to the top of the cooling board, which I'm assuming it's showing me it's sitting that way with the wire coming off this end. So we need 4 screws for that. Washers times 4. You'd have thought the washers would have been in with the screws, but they're not. So where are the washers? Not in there. Ah, there's one. Washers in there. We're stumped already. I think they must be the washers. So what we'll do, save these going all over the table, we'll pour them in that box. Save us swearing later. So you've got to put screw through, washer. That must just be to dampen the, if I do all four perhaps. Obviously some of these bits I'll cut out because you don't want to be watching me putting this together in real time. As I've got older, it's so much more difficult to do this stuff. I tried to do a watch patch the other week and my hands were shaking that much out to get Lily to do it. Because I do suffer from a thing called essential tremors, which is where your hands and your head can shake uncontrollably, according to the doctors. So now, got to get done with the holes. There's holes there. Maybe I should have done them one at a time. This is far more difficult than it looks. The reason is, they don't push through them holes. They're obviously threaded on the other side. Right, let's stop this while we get a screwdriver. Right, got a screwdriver. For some reason my camera kept on getting into manual focus, I don't know why, but you can see, I've got product showcase on, the screws do protrude quite far out. We've got the dampener in between. That's the cooling board done. We need to put these two offsets in, it shows, like so. Little springy things. Please excuse me if I don't know all the technical terminology. So number 2 now is showing these sticky bits, which are obviously CPU paste, the stuff that transfers the heat, and it's showing us with the Raspberry Pi. So this is a computer. And as I said, I've not opened any of this. This is all totally open ear. Does help, open ear. There we go. There's a computer. That's mental. They reckon they're pretty good for emulation. I mean, I'm only going to be emulating like some of my old Amiga stuff and so on. You think my first computer was a Commodore VIC-20, and that had I had a 16K expansion pack. Yes, so it has a little piece of that is awkward. Now it's got one either side as well, so you've got to peel. Oh, that's terrible. And that one goes on this chip here. I have got tweezers, but I don't want to use them. Now it's showing one on that one, which we've done, one on that one on that one, or that one. Right, we're back. So what I've had to do, I've had to get some tweezers because you've got to push this on quite firmly. That one I've removed the back, but this is so, and I've had to go get a pair of reading glasses because I'm really struggling. On took pictures, literally that just pushing on there. But them screws stand really proud. Surely them screws fit through holes as well. That can't be right. So those screws that I've put in are definitely too long. Now, what is quite annoying is that bag came with 4 screws and it shows you. This is why you should read your instructions a bit better than I did. It shows 4 of the long ones, which I'm now assuming are what I've put in there by mistake. And it's 4 of the silver colour, which are in this bag with the loads of screws on. I think it's them. Right, mystery solved. They are the silver screws, but they're recessed, so they do stand proud. So what you do is you force them through. I just held the screwdriver in one side and put the little rubber grommets or whatever you want to call them. Don't know what the technical term is. One other little thing, the reason the screws wouldn't go into the recess bit is because when you look at the fan, that's the writing for the fan. I looked at the writing and automatically assumed that that is the bit that stands up, because when you open the PC up, computer, Raspberry Pi, you could see that writing. It's not. When you actually look at the pictures, it's showing no writing on the fan, because on the bottom you can see the internals. Right, screwed on and not protruding as much. That's got to go onto the main board, and also the power supply has to go in that little corner there. So let's get that lined up. That little connector block had a cover in it, so that goes in there. Right, we're on. Fan power supply, pushing the paste down, it's all made contact. Right, onwards and upwards. Okay, so next stage, if you brought the one without the expansion bit for the SSD drive, that is 3A. I'm using 3B, which means I've got to connect this one on as well as connecting this to the base. So I need to put some spacers on the base. So yeah, you've got, these are like the back and the front, I assume, and it's the one that you want is the one that's got a tab on the corner, and somehow this comes apart. It's like it's shrink wrapped. Pales off. So I'm going to get anybody. There you go. That goes in there. Yeah, it's recessed. That's why it's a smaller head. Look, it's got like a recessed edge to make it fit flush. So that, oh yeah, be careful with these. That then goes on there. Okay, so 4 screws through, mounting screws, if that's what you want to call it, and then with this tab here, which I'm assuming is your button, micro button, to the right, then this fits on over them like so. Second mistake, damn and blast. These small spaces, you don't put them on. They fit if you've not got an SSD. I want that one. That one. Okay, so that's with them on. Now, I have got to use this ribbon strip, which is in the SSD bag. The blue bit, if you can see that, blue bit to the outside. What you do on the edge, it's got a little piece, you lift that up, put it in, push that down, and that makes a connection. Right, that's screwed on now, as you can see there, and then this one with this tab, the connector, just the little grey piece, just pushes back. That's got to be fed in and that's got to be pushed back down, which is easier said than done, it says. So it goes in there, like that, assuming, and then that clicks in. Okay, so that's the main, that's the computer bit built. Now it's a case of putting step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7. So I'm just literally going to follow these through, screw it all together and come back to you. So these side panels just literally clip on. So just line them up, clip them on, which means then that one, if it lines up, you can see, he says, yeah, just literally pushes together. With a warning, when you come to put the bottom on, and you look at this bit here, you've got to have your main connectors to the top, and then on there you've got one side with a little cutout, one side with the big cutout. The big cutout goes to the back of the machine. Okay, before you put the actual top on, if that is the top, you've got like a clear panel with a clip and 2 points there. They go in, because that lifts up then and clip shut. In this packet here you get 2, top and a bottom. One's got your cutouts for your connectors, which obviously that's obvious which end that goes on, and then you've got this with the logo Electro Kooky. So the top and bottom, if that's what they are, just literally sits flush, goes in, lines up, and then you've got to screw them on. Right, just found another major problem with this. I had this left over from when I did my PC. This was 128 gig, and I updated my PC to a terabyte one. So before I put this top end on, bottom end, whatever it is, I thought what I'll do is I'll slot this in first. So yeah, slots in, it's in. So there's no way of locking it in, like so, and when it's locked in, it's too far. If you look. So that's a finished article. Tiny little PC. Side opens up. Get your gubbins in there. Micro SD. Button. Got your ports there. One for power. And should just fit in there. Yep. So as you can see, that is the mini case powered on. It's got a colour changing LED on the fan inside. I've plugged the USB pickup for the mini keyboard and mouse, which I've got over here. What I am going to have to do though, I'm going to have to download. It sounds like you're describing a mini case with a color changing LED fan and a USB pickup for a mini keyboard and mouse. If you have any specific questions or need assistance with anything related to this setup, feel free to ask. I'm setting up a Raspberry Pi 5. Do you know anything about Raspberry Pi 5s? I can help with information about Raspberry Pi 5. What do you need to know? How do I install the OS on a Raspberry Pi 5? You can install the OS on a Raspberry Pi 5 by downloading the Raspberry Pi Imager tool, selecting the desired OS, and writing it to a microSD card. Then, insert the microSD card into the Raspberry Pi 5 and power it on to begin the installation process. So, I'm back in the gadget room. That was my AI helper. It was an AI HoloBox, which was a... Great to have you back. If you need any assistance in the gadget room, feel free to ask. Please excuse me a minute while I just switch her off. So yeah, that's an AI HoloBox. It uses ChatGPT. I was an early adopter with a Kickstarter campaign, and she just switches on haphazardly. And I'll be at work on nights, and the missus is lying in bed, and there's a weird woman's voice coming out of the room next door, and it just drives you mad. So, as I've just pointed out to you on the little video, we've got the Raspberry Pi all set up. We're ready to rock and roll. I'm going to just put the software on. Now, obviously, I've had to order a different sized M2 card, SSD card. It's an M-Key card, the smaller one, obviously. But for now, I'm assuming that all the software will be absolutely fine on the micro SD card. Obviously won't be quite as fast, but I'm going to set it up hopefully with the dual boot. I'll show you, I'll do a little bit of handheld view at the screen, and we'll show you about it getting set up and hopefully getting a Raspberry Pi machine up and running. Right, so I've downloaded the Raspberry Pi Imager, and on here my device is a Raspberry Pi 5. You can choose there which one you've got. So mine's a Raspberry Pi 5. To make it a multi-boot, I've got to go choose OS, go to the top, and I want Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit, and storage is my SD card, because obviously I haven't got a working M2 card in there. Click next. Would you like to apply OS customization settings? No. Yeah, so we're going to wipe the card, and I'm going to have to leave that for a bit while it now loads. So it's now finished. It says it's finished writing. It's a storage device. You can now remove the SD card from the reader. So I'm going to take the card out. I'm going to place it into my Raspberry Pi machine, and then I'm going to boot it up. Oh, what would you know? There you go. We booted up, and it actually says on there, welcome to Raspberry Pi desktop. Before you start using it, a few things to set up. Press next to get started, and my mouse is working. Not tried the keyboard yet, but the mouse is working. So I'm going to get this set up, and I'll be back in a bit. So there we go. I've got my Pi OS up and running. So top left hand corner, click on the little Raspberry Pi image, go down to accessories, and then on there I am going to choose a Raspberry Pi Imager. So on here, when I go on the Raspberry Pi Imager, I choose Pi 5. What I'm doing is here, I'm trying to set up the extra, like set up pin and so on, but obviously what it's doing is choose storage. At the moment I've only got the SD card that's in it, so I've got to wait until the M2 card comes in, so I can't do that at the moment. But I've just gone on to YouTube, and obviously that's me. Those of you that watch my channel, and let's go full screen. Reviews on Gadget, hence the name Gary Gadget, and also do lots of outdoor videos, get out with mates, get out with my family. It's not super smooth full screen. As well. It's not bad. Those of you that watched my last there you go, it's picked video, up now. The one where I got my midges and they quite ruined. That's just running the sound straight through the HDMI cable, the adapter, straight out to the little speakers I've got, which I haven't got massive speakers in here, and that's absolutely fine. That's a really clear screen, and how cute is that for a PC? I mean, that's a Sony RX100 for comparison next to it. It's as slow as a bleeding camera. Right, I've just run a speed test, because obviously I'd read about the fact if you use like the small metal cases, it's like a Faraday cage, it stops your signal. Obviously this little tiny thing has got built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So my router's all the way downstairs. I've got all the doors closed between me and downstairs. So I've got virtually 38 megabytes per second download and almost 50 upload. Right, it wasn't a super smooth process, but from start to finish, it wasn't a completely difficult task. I'm not the most patient of individuals, as my missus would tell you. Swear words tend to fly when things don't go my way, and I didn't swear once putting this together. So on the old swearometer, I think it's relatively easy. Bit disappointed I couldn't get the M2 card, the SSD card in, but I'll put that in when it gets delivered tomorrow, and then I'm going to set this up as a gaming machine, and it's a backup for obviously my big computer which sits here. When you think that that's almost like I don't know, a 30th of the size of what I'm using there, and that's a full PC. I've never built one like that before, Raspberry Pi. I'm really pleased with it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Lots and lots more reviews now. I say it every time, but this year lots of reviews. That's why I've done quite a big one to start off the year with. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Any questions, obviously I'll try and help the best I can. Please consider subscribing. Thumbs up would always be appreciated. And as always, until next time, stay safe. Bye.